UFC 267, October the 30th, fight number 3. Islam Makhachev versus Dan the Hangman Hooker in the lightweight division. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of The Bottom Line. Today I will be doing a pre-fight breakdown of the Makhachev versus Hooker fight, which is coming to you on the UFC 267 card. Now originally this fight was supposed to be Makhachev versus Rafael dos Anjos, a man he called out after his previous victory. The fight had been signed, it was on the card. Unfortunately, dos Anjos pulled out not too long ago citing injury. In steps the Hangman. Now Dan had just come off a very dominant victory over his last opponent at UFC 266. No excuses, no bullshit, stepped up and said, this is a high stakes matchup, I want in, and he got the fight. Now this man is the true definition of a stud. If you've seen the kind of fights he's had over his last few opponents, you might tend to agree. Let's see what Dan's last 5 look like. Now you see down there, it seems like he's had a bit of a rocky road, but we need to actually watch these fights to understand what Dan is bringing to the table. You see his fight versus Paul Felder, the Irish Dragon. I mean, he took a lot of damage. That was a slugfest, but Dan came out on top. He followed that up with a performance against Dustin Poirier. He was on the receiving end. He didn't win that fight, but his stock definitely went up. It's not a small feat to say I took Dustin Poirier the distance, and I mean Dustin didn't exactly walk away unblemished from that fight. And I think those two fights really played a big part in what came next. He got knocked out in the first round by Michael Chandler, and I think that was due to all the damage and the sort of build-up that he had had from his last 2 fights. I mean, if anyone has a chin on them at 155, Dan's right up there with the best. That shot from Chandler would have landed a little differently had Dan been more well-conditioned and probably a little less abused from his last 2 outings. Well, not too much damage because he bounced back from that, took on Nasrat Haqparast, did a fantastic job of dominating the man everywhere and took home the victory. Now he's coming into this fight as clearly the kickboxer who will take on Islam Makhachev, the grappling phenom from Dagestan and AKA. Now Islam, let's talk about his opponent. Now Islam has lost 1 fight. And if you look at that fight, he got knocked out in the first round. I honestly thought that was an early stoppage. He got hit with a good clean punch. He did go down, his legs were wobbled, but this man is a grappling phenom. I mean, he comes from the same stable as Khabib. He's been trained by Khabib's father. So you should understand what his grappling prowess is. And the referee didn't give him a chance. I mean, I could argue that was a bit of an early stoppage and Islam still had his wits about him, could have handled himself on the ground. Unfortunately, was not to be. But since then, he has not lost a single fight. And he's doing pretty well for himself. And here's the kicker, while he may not be quite as powerful and dominant as his older cousin Khabib, this man is actually a more accomplished striker. I tend to think that he's got better hands, better movement, and generally an overall more well-rounded striking game, which really brings something to the table in terms of being a complete fighter. Now, it's quite obvious that it's going to be the kickboxer versus the grappler. Dan's made claims and his team has made claims that no, their grappling's up there and they can take on Islam, but I tend to disagree. Javier Mendez, the coach from AKA who's trained, Khabib and of course trains Islam and will be training Islam for this fight, has said that, you know what, we can stand up with Dan, and if it doesn't work out, if Dan is clearly beating Islam on the feet, Islam can take him down. But if Dan gets taken down, he doesn't have a lot of options. And his only chance is that of a good punch or a good kick, maybe an uppercut while Islam's coming in, a good knee timed coming up the middle. But this one for sure is going to be one hell of a barn burner and I can't wait for it. On a very stacked card, this fight stands out nonetheless. I can't wait for it. Let's hope it is all the excitement that we expect it to be. I'll see you in the next video.